It was yet another day in the Roblox Squidgames, and it seemed like the pay-to-win allegations had come back to haunt me once again. So I had no choice but to summon back my free-to-play alt account in order to finally prove that I was still the best player in the world. The first game had begun, so I ran to the finish line when I noticed that the goddamn pay-to-win demons had already speed-ran the entire course using Quicksilver. But I paid them no mind, and slowly but surely survived making it to the end. But as I awaited for the game to finish, I had spotted a damn furry who was making fun of my bald scalp. I obviously didn't let it slide and popped him with a pocket of baby powder. We then went on to the intermission, and the Quicksilvers were having themselves a race at supersonic speeds. Truly mesmerizing. It was now the Dalgona game, and I had gotten me the hardest cookie of all, the devilish triangle. And even though the trial was harsh and gruesome, I still managed to successfully carve it out with immeasurable precision. I then went over to stuff my face with food, waiting for the lights out game to begin. And even though I was weak and frail, I had made it my mission to end the life of at least one skellywag. I had then laid my peepers on a player called Messi, and since we all know Ronaldo is the one and true GOAT, I began to attack him, laying him back into eternal rest. We were then in the hide-and-seek game, and it was to my unfortunate luck that I had ended up becoming a hider. I was slow as a damn turtle, and I didn't have the ability to dash, but I was still going to somehow survive this game filled with savages. Though I had run into a couple hiccups, such as taking the brunt of an entire black flash, I had managed to escape and hid behind a pillar. But I was eventually found, making me run around the map waiting until the timer ran out. We then went on to the jump rope game, as a kind and gentle dinosaur prompted me to let them carry me. And it seemed like they were a total pro at the game, as we were the first players to make it to the other side. We were then in the game of the glass bridge, and the game was just tempting me to purchase the damn glass manufacturer, though I resisted my urges and crossed the bridge like a normal civilian. It was now time for the game that was going to give me the most trouble, Mingle. But even though I was as weak as a twig, I wasn't going to let that stop me, and chased the furry who was disrespecting me and attempted to eliminate him. Though with my meager strength, I was unfortunately unable to. But it was with God's given grace that in the next round he was left outside of my room to fend for himself, dying right in front of my eyes. Anyways, the rest of the rounds were fairly simple, and I easily passed to the next game wearing my luxurious suit. Since we were now going to the final dinner, the plan was simple: to avoid the other players letting them kill each other in my stead. But doing that would be lame and boring, so I decided that I wanted all the smoke and went to third-party a pair of players in the midst of battle. Though that was probably a bad idea, as I was suddenly hit with the most destructive black flash known to man. I had somehow survived until the circle shrunk to its final form, so in order to avoid being butchered to pieces, I thought of a strategy: going outside of the zone for 2.5 seconds and replenishing the timer by going back in. And just like that, I had eventually made it into the final 2 participants. It was now time for the final Squid Game. And let me just say, before any of you judge me, that since I had implemented the dash into so much of my PvP, that suddenly being without it led to me getting beaten one-sided. When you play the game of squids, you either win or you die. There is no middle ground.